Yes.
Any questions? No questions? Yes? Hello?
I don't know if I can take this off here.
Sure.
I don't know if it's okay.
Yeah.
Maybe I shouldn't. No, we're not there yet, right?
Whatever you're comfortable with.
Okay, I'll leave it on. Okay, I just want to know, I was at the last November in-person council meeting, and there was a talk about a committee that was going to be set up for affordable housing. Then we went back into the virtual, and then here we are again. So I'm just wondering where we are on that.
Okay, so the committee was not specific for affordable housing. It was for tenants as a whole, and affordable housing could be one of the issues that committee looks at.
Okay.
But definitely, we are very close to finalizing all of our committees. I mean, we could announce tonight that we'll start over here. Councillor Goldwax is going to be in charge of public security. Councillor Edery is in charge of finance. Councillor Alfasi is in charge of public works. Councillor Farber and Councillor Budning are in charge of urban planning. Councillor Schaefer is in charge of legal. We still have a few more to work out, like recreation and tenants and a few smaller ones. It's very possible that council as a whole, because it is such an important issue, it's very possible that council as a whole will handle several portfolios. So there won't be one particular person for it. So this might be one item that we're going to look at. Council might be in charge of that portfolio together. If you or anybody who's here or listening is interested in joining these committees, please you can send an email to Director General Richard Sun, and he will pass them on to the appropriate person so that we can properly form these committees. I mean, in order to have a committee, you need to have people on the committee. So that's a very big component to that.
Okay, that's great. If there's nobody waiting, I have another direct question about trying to find municipal and school taxes on the website. I've gone looking and I can't really find it. I know I've been onto the, anyways, I've gone different places trying to find this information. I called the person that was the tax person was away and is back today. So they're supposed to call me back to give me that information, but is it on the website? Okay,
so school taxes are not under municipal jurisdiction. It's a separate organization that handles it.
Okay.
And if you Google Montreal school taxes, something will pop up and you can register for an account and access that all online.
Okay.
With regards to the other part, the property tax bill, I'm very happy to announce that next week we're going to be launching our new website.
Okay.
And our director of IT, Thierry, he's not here this evening, but I believe if there's a council that knows about this, on whether the individual property tax bill is going to be on the My Hampstead portal.
Not yet, but that is something with this new website we'll be able to add different facets. So not just apply for permits, but maybe only for My Hampstead, log into your account and see your tax bill.
Okay.
But if you do need a copy of your property tax bill because you lost it for whatever reason, just reach out to the finance department at Hampstead, and they'll definitely send you a new copy.
Okay, because I got a big rent increase from Eminent Rental. Got a big rent increase, and I'm just trying to look at those numbers. They don't really add up. I know the whole issue that's going on with the downloader from the agglomeration. I understand all that, but I'm just trying to see if these numbers are
so
valid.
Overall, there was just over a 6% combined local and agglomeration property tax increase for Hampstead, and that is basically made up of a 3% local increase and a staggering 10.2% increase from the City of Montreal, which we have no control over.
Yeah.
So that is the major contributor for the rental increase.
Okay, so that contributes to an owner of an apartment building downloading that onto the tenants?
Unfortunately, that's all regulated by the Régie du Logement.
Okay.
And I believe property taxes is something that can be allocated out
Okay.
in full, unfortunately.
Okay, I'm just trying to weave my way through where these numbers come from.
Mr. Mayor,
Go ahead.
I could be mistaken, but I'm not sure if as a tenant you're able to get your landlord's tax bill.
That's what, yeah, that's what I was having
I
trouble
believe
with.
that a tax bill is
No.
specific to a property owner.
That's correct,
I
but
don't believe you'll be able to tax it.
But what you can do is you can go on to the Ville de Montréal valuation rule, see what the property value is
Yeah, I did that.
of your building,
Yeah.
and calculate it by the tax
Yeah,
mill rate,
yeah.
and that's posted
Okay.
on the website, and that'll give you an idea of what the
Okay.
what the property tax is.
Okay, because they told me that when I called about 10 days ago, that they weren't sure, whoever answered said that they weren't sure whether that information was able to be given to me or not. Passed the message to the tax person and said that person would call me back when they got back today.
Most likely not. So your best bet is to just to recalculate it yourself,
Okay.
and that's public
Will
information.
do. Okay, thank you.
Sure. Any other questions?
Good evening, everybody. I wanted to quickly follow up with you guys on the update for Ellerdale Road. I live at 19 Ellerdale, and it's pretty rough right now, especially the strip between Stratford and Thurlow. So just want to get a quick update. I know it's been discussed in previous meetings, and I know that we have to discuss with the City of Montreal a few things, so just wanted to see where we're at with that.
Yeah, thanks. Ellerdale is probably in the worst condition that it's ever been. We're fully aware. I completely empathize with you. We were even briefly discussing whether we were going to close Ellerdale for traffic. It's in horrendous condition. We know about that. With regards to short-term fixes, there was a delivery of hot asphalt, I believe, today, and tomorrow, it's all the potholes are getting corrected. The problem is right now, when snow thaws, and then we have freezing again, whatever, and you know, it's not restricted to Ellerdale. You can see it throughout the island that potholes are at the worst right now. So we're putting a short-term fix on that. We're putting asphalt in tomorrow. The long-term objective is to fix it. Now we've mentioned before that there's a very old, fragile water main under that road that belongs to the City of Montreal, and if we would do any significant or major road repairs, I'm told that not maybe it would break, but certainly it would break, and you'd have flooding you'd have damages from the flooding in the millions, and Hampstead would be exposed to all of that. We are working on many different avenues to get Montreal to the table, to share information with us on the actual state of the water main. Mm-hmm. It's one of our priorities, for sure. In fact, we just had a brief discussion amongst council before on the different avenues that we can approach. Is for sure it's one of this new mandate's priorities to have that done. And like I said before, we're fully aware that it's probably in the worst condition that it's ever been in, and it's not fair to you, and it's not fair to the other residents that live there, and it's not fair to all of the commuters who drive on there. But there's only so much that we can do with regards to how to fix it.
Yeah, I would suggest if you guys wanted to close it, if that's on the table, you probably should. Like I can see from my house, there's cars that are two wheels up on the sidewalk and two wheels down on the road to avoid the potholes, and it's also becoming dangerous for a lot of the pedestrians.
And that's one of the reasons why we were contemplating about closing it.
Yeah.
And like we said, the asphalt is supposed to come in tomorrow, and we'll assess the situation right after that.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Does any councillor have anything they want to add on?
Just to add, if I may.
Sure, go ahead.
Just to add on the last question of the resident, we know for a fact that tomorrow morning, as the mayor also mentioned briefly, there is a full crew going out dealing only with either their own that was with our stuff. This is
Any other councillor want to say anything? Go ahead.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I just want to bring to light, there was a posting on social media yesterday that circulated very quickly about an incident where a stranger, an individual, approached a resident's door trying to get into her home. She was alone with young children. Obviously, this circulated very quickly through social media that this gentleman was trying to get into her house. An older man with a cane. She called 911. The police did arrive, interrogated the individual, and then sent him on his way. We are, as a town, fully aware of the incident, and as well, the gentleman is known to the police. He is not supposed to be here, and what I have told this resident, and I want to share publicly as well, is that we do have a police station, a merged station, Station 9 and 11, which responds to NDG, Côte-Saint-Luc, Hampstead, Montreal West. Obviously, they cover a very large territory, and the response time may not be as quick when there's something crucial. We, as a town, are very blessed to have a phenomenal public security team that is always here circulating. Our town is 1 square kilometer wide, so if a call goes into public security, for whatever reason, you see something wrong, you see someone suspicious, you see something's wrong medically with somebody and you need help, yes, you can call 911. The police will come, Urgence Santé will come, but call public security. They will dispatch the gentlemen who are on the road quicker and be there. And if it is a security issue where there's an individual or a group of individuals that are posing a threat, or the public security officers have the ability to detain the individuals in question until SPVM arrives. It's worked in the past. I have the two phenomenal officers standing in the back of the room right now, and you have the captain just sitting in the white shirt, who can have done in the past prevented major instances here. So if there is something that you don't see, that if you see something that does not sit well with you, call them. If you don't think it's worthy of 911, call public security. They'll check it out. They have the ability and the right to check, interrogate somebody, and if it is maybe just overly zealous suspicion, they'll be on their way. But at least if it is in a situation, we can avoid it being escalating, and these are the guys that can do it. So please reach out to public security when you see something wrong. It is for our safety, your safety, and everyone's safety. But for the social media event that took place, I did speak directly with the resident. We put measures in place to make sure that certain areas will be watched to this individual will not come back here, as he is known to the police. Thank you.
Okay. So we'll move to adoption of the agenda.
Actually, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to modify the agenda by adding a resolution to the agenda, please.
Okay, sure.
So I would like to add an item, and the resolution is going to be the number 6.1, and it's a resolution supporting the Dawson College project and what's been going on in the news, and I'll give more information when I speak.
Okay, thank you. So, we need someone to second that.
Schaefer.
Councillor Schaefer seconds. All right, so now we'll move to the adoption. It is proposed by Councillor Goldwax, seconded by Councillor Schaefer, and resolved that the agenda of the regular council meeting is hereby adopted as presented. 4.0, adoption of the minutes of the regular council meeting held February 7th, 2022, as well as that of the special council meeting held February 15th, 2022. It is proposed by Councillor Farber, seconded by Councillor Schaefer, and resolved that the minutes of the regular council meeting held February 7th, 2022, as well as that of the special council meeting held February 15th, 2022, are hereby approved as submitted. 5.1, deposit of the minutes of the regular PAC meeting held on February 14th, 2022. Each member of the council having received a copy, the Deputy Town Clerk deposits the minutes of the regular Planning Advisory Committee meeting held on February 14th, 2022. The council takes note of the deposit of the said minutes by the Deputy Town Clerk. 5.2. Request to authorize an addition on the left side yard for a semi-detached single-family dwelling located at 480 Dufferin, lot number 2088556, zone RB6, zoning bylaw number 1001, and SPAIP bylaw number 775. It was proposed by Councillor Bunning, seconded by Councillor Farber, and resolved that the request to authorize an addition on the left side yard for a semi-detached single-family dwelling located at 480 Dufferin and submitted to the Planning Advisory Committee meeting on February 14, 2022 was conditionally approved as recommended by the PAC, provided that the proposed masonry on the addition must be lowered around the garage door to reduce the concrete impact. The driveway and the walkway must respect zoning bylaw requirements. The proposed project meets the prescribed standards of the zoning bylaw number 1001 and only partially meets the prescribed standards of the site planning and architectural integration program bylaw number 775. Anyone opposed? Adopted. 5.3. It's a minor exemption. Were there any interventions? No. Request to authorize 2 minor exemptions to zoning bylaw number 1001 for a semi-detached single-family dwelling located at 1 Heath, lot number 2089386, zone RA1, zoning bylaw number 1001, and bylaw concerning minor exemptions number 1013. Considering that members of council have reviewed the request for 2 minor exemptions to zoning bylaw number 1001, to section 116 to allow in the front yard a strip of grass or natural plant material of 0.7 meters instead of 1.0 meters between a vehicular access and a pedestrian access, to section 118 to allow in the front yard the combined width of a vehicular access and the pedestrian access at 8.8 meters instead of 6.78 meters. Considering that the Planning Advisory Committee on its meeting held on February 14, 2022, recommended to conditionally approve the request for 2 minor exemptions to zoning bylaw number 1001, it is proposed by Councillor Budning, seconded by Councillor Farber, and resolved that the request for 2 minor exemptions to zoning bylaw number 1001 for the property located at 1 Heath, lot number 2089386, zone RA1 is conditionally approved as recommended by the PAC, provided that the design must be improved by adding flower boxes on the left side retaining wall. Anyone opposed? Adopted. 5.4. Request to were there any interventions for this minor exemption? No?
No, but if you want, I can just quickly explain. Essentially, this situation plus the one coming up is the same contractor. There was an error where they didn't understand there was a requirement for 1 meter of grass or green between the walkway and the driveway. We've amended the situation or resolved it by having flower pots and stuff put up on the concrete pavers. This is to legalize, 0.6 and 0.7 versus 1 meter. It would be unrealistic to tear up the whole front yard for 0.3 meters of green space.
Thank you, Councillor Budning. Request to authorize 2 minor exemptions to zoning bylaw number 1001 for a detached single-family dwelling located at 23 Aldred, lot number 2089669, zone RB4, zoning bylaw number 1001, and bylaw concerning minor exemptions number 1013. Considering that the members of council have reviewed the request for 2 minor exemptions to zoning bylaw number 1001, to section 116 to allow in the front yard a strip of grass or natural plant material of 0.6 meters instead of 1.0 meters between a vehicular access and a pedestrian access, to section 118 to allow in the front yard the combined width of a vehicular access and the pedestrian access at 7.71 meters instead of 6.22 meters. Considering that the Planning Advisory Committee on its meeting held on February 14, 2022, recommended to conditionally approve the request for 2 minor exemptions to zoning bylaw number 1001. It is proposed by Councillor Budning, seconded by Councillor Farber, and resolved that the request for 2 minor exemptions to zoning bylaw number 1001 for the property located at 23 Aldred, lot number 2089669, zone RB4 is conditionally approved as recommended by the PAC, provided that the strip of grass or natural plant material must be extended to the entrance main stair. Anyone opposed? Adopted. 5.5, request to authorize the conversion of an immovable to divided co-ownership for a semi-detached bi-family dwelling located at 7678 Dufferin, lot number 2088642, zone RB1, bylaw number 713 on the conversion of immovables into condominiums. It was proposed by Councillor Budning, seconded by Councillor Farber, and resolved that the request to authorize the conversion of an immovable to divided co-ownership for semi-detached bi-family dwelling located at 7678 Dufferin and submitted to the Planning Advisory Committee meeting on December 20, 2021 is approved as recommended by the PAC. The proposed project meets the prescribed standards of the bylaw number 713 on the conversion of immovables into condominiums. Anyone opposed? Adopted. 6.1.
Yes. So, Mr. Mayor, if you I will not take up time. I will just give you literally just an explanation for those of you who don't know what's going on. And then if you allow me, I'll read the resolution. So I am the chair of Dawson. I've been involved for the past 9 years. Obviously, you've been hearing on the news that Dawson College has recently been their funding project to expand the space, not the number of students, but the space has been recently revoked, albeit it was promised multiple times, and even as recent as December 2021. In January 29th of this year, we were called to an emergency meeting with Minister McCann, stating that they want to revoke the plan, although the CAC did put it through, stating they want to focus their efforts on Francophone students. The question came about why and their fear of Anglicization of Francophones. I stated that if someone goes to school for 2 years, they don't lose their mother tongue, and 65 to 70% of the students in Dawson are Francophone or allophone. So you're now penalizing students from first-class environments we have, and at the same time, the environment that we're building would have been housing, nursing programs, radiology programs, and healthcare programs and specialties, which is what the government's saying they need graduates for. So at the same time, he's penalizing our healthcare system. So obviously, Dawson publicly had press conferences. We've done interviews. I've done interviews. We have the full support of the Federation of CEGEPs, which is French and English. We have the full support of the Regroupement de Cégep de Montréal, French and English. All the universities, all the CEGEPs. Cities have been passing resolutions, and I've approached the other cities to pass resolutions, as well as our city as well. We have until March 22nd until the Legault deposits his budget, and at that point will be the final decision, and we're hoping that with enough pressure coming from the public and social media and news media, he might, because we've seen him waver before and change his mind in 24 hours with COVID, he may change his mind and retable the plan for this expansion, which would further benefit all the students. So with that being said, I'd like to read the resolution. Whereas Dawson College is a post-secondary education institution which offers programs of study to Quebecers of all backgrounds, whereas in accordance with the ministerial space allocation standards, Dawson College is suffering from a space deficit for more than 11,000 square meters, whereas after more than 7 years of collaboration with the Minister of l'Enseignement Supérieur, Dawson College proposing to relocate its healthcare programs to a new location, and whereas a dossier d'opportunité has been completed and approved in accordance with the rules by the Société Québécoise des Infrastructures, whereas Dawson College project is among the priority projects listed in the Act respecting acceleration of certain infrastructure projects adopted by the National Assembly Quebec in December 2020. Whereas Premier of Quebec stated in February 22 that the project is being cancelled in favor of projects at French CEGEP. Whereas cancelling Dawson College will have a negative effect on programs offered to current and future Dawson College students. Whereas Dawson College students are entitled to educational services of equivalent quality to those offered to students in other CEGEPs, and whereas there cannot be two categories of institutions and two categories of students in the public college system. I am hereby proposing this resolution, and I'm looking for a seconder.
Schaefer.
Councillor Schaefer, and if you permit me, Mr. Mayor, I'll read that. That the town of Hampstead wishes to convey the Premier of Quebec their deep disappointment and disapproval of the government's decision to postpone Dawson's College capital project. That the town of Hampstead understands the importance of the project and necessity for the school to be treated equally under the ministerial standards in force, and accordingly that the government of Quebec maintains Dawson College project as a project to be carried out in the next Plan Québécois d'Infrastructure. That's it.
Anyone opposed? Adopted. Thank you, Councillor Goldwax.
And thank you very much.
Move on to 7.1. Notice of motion of draft bylaw number 1009-5 entitled Bylaw Amending Bylaw 1009 concerning demolition of immovables. So this change to the demolition bylaw is really, we're getting rid of a demolition committee, and any demolition will be voted on by council in its entirety. Notice of motion was given by Councillor
Schaefer.
Budning, that draft bylaw number 1009-5, entitled Bylaw Amending Bylaw 1009 concerning the demolition of immovables, would be submitted to council for adoption. All council members have received a copy of draft bylaw number 1009-5, and a motion to dispense with the reading of the said draft bylaw was made. 7.2. Deposit of draft bylaw number 1009-5, entitled Bylaw Amending Bylaw 1009 concerning the demolition of immovables. Each member of the council having received a copy, the deputy town clerk deposits draft bylaw number 1009-5, entitled Bylaw Amending Bylaw 1009 concerning the demolition of immovables. The council takes note of the deposit of the said draft bylaw by the deputy town clerk. 7.3. Notice of motion of draft bylaw number 1033, entitled Bylaw regarding the adoption of the revised code of ethics and conduct for members of council of the town of Hampstead. So this is just our retabling of the code of ethics that we passed recently. There was a technicality which required us to go through this process again. It basically had to be submitted or had to be publicized, I believe, within a certain time delay, and for whatever reason it wasn't done. So we're just crossing our T's, dotting our I's, and making sure it's done properly. Notice of motion was given by Councillor Schaefer that draft bylaw number 1033, entitled Bylaw regarding the adoption of the revised code of ethics and conduct for members of council of the town of Hampstead, will be submitted to council for adoption. All council members have received a copy of draft bylaw number 1033, and a motion to dispense with the reading of the said draft bylaw was made. 7.4. Deposit and presentation number 1033, entitled Bylaw regarding the adoption of the revised code of ethics and conduct for members of council of the town of Hampstead. Each member of the council having received copy. Councillor Farber deposits draft bylaw number one. Councillor Schaefer deposits draft bylaw number 1033, entitled Bylaw regarding the adoption of the revised code of ethics and conduct for members of council of the town of Hampstead. The council takes note of the deposit of the said draft bylaw by Councillor Schaefer. (8.1) Approval of the disbursements for the month of February 2022. Considering that council reviewed the list of payments for the month of February 2022, it is proposed by Councillor Edery, seconded by Councillor Budning, and resolved that the disbursements for the period from January 16th, 2022 to February 15th, 2022 in the amount of $2,210,810.38 are hereby approved. Anyone opposed? Adopted. 8.
I should actually, just for clarity's sake, the list of payments, there was a reimbursement to myself because I paid for a training formation program for the ethics component of being an elected official. So there was a reimbursement check. Just in full disclosure.
Thank you. 8.2. Request for financial assistance under the gas tax transfer program and contribution from Quebec. Considering that the town of Hampstead has read the guide for terms of payment of government contributions under the program of the gas tax and contribution of Quebec Tech for the years 2019 to 2023. Considering that the town must respect the applicable terms and conditions of this guide that apply to it in order to receive the government contributions confirmed to it in a letter from the ministry. It is proposed by Councillor Edery, seconded by Councillor Elfasi, and resolved that the town of Hampstead hereby undertakes to comply with the applicable terms and conditions of this guide that apply to it. That the town hereby undertakes to be solely liable for and save harmless Canada, Quebec, as well as their ministers, senior officers, employees, and agents from all liability for claims, requirements, losses, damages, and costs of any kind stemming from an injury to or death of an individual, or damages to or loss of assets attributable to a deliberate act or negligence resulting directly or indirectly from investments made through financial assistance obtained through the program Tech 2019 to 2023. That the town hereby approves the content and authorizes the submission of the work schedule number 1 and all of the documents required by the Ministry to the Management of Infrastructure's Department of the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Land Occupancy in order to receive the governmental contribution confirmed to the town in a letter from the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing. That the town of Hampstead agrees to reach the minimum fixed assets threshold imposed on it for the entire 5 years of the program. That the town hereby undertakes to inform the Management of Infrastructure's Department of the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing of any changes to be made to the work schedule approved herein. that the town of Hampstead hereby certifies that the work schedule number 1 includes the true costs incurred and reflects the estimated cost of eligible work. Anyone opposed? Adopted. 8.3, deposit of the Treasurer's report for Town Council on 2021 election activities. Each member of the council having received a copy, the Deputy Town Clerk deposits the Treasurer's report for Town Council on 2021 election activities according to Section 485 of an Act respecting elections and referendums in municipalities. The council takes note of the deposit of the said report by the Deputy Town Clerk.
Good point.
8.4, resolution to repeal resolution number 2022-053, public auction for non-payment of municipal taxes, adopted during the special council meeting held on February 15, 2022. Again, this is to there was a technicality which was not respected. So in order to make sure that everything is done properly, this was a resolution that was passed at a previous council, and we're retabling it now to make sure that it's going to be done properly. Considering that the Municipal Council adopted a resolution dated February 15, 2022, and that this resolution contains a typo. Considering that the resolution adopted is legally void. Considering that this resolution must be cancelled to avoid any confusion and be adopted again on March 7, 2022. It is proposed by Councillor Goldwax, seconded by Councillor Alfasi, and resolved that the resolution bearing number 2022-053, public auction for non-payment of municipal taxes, be cancelled for all legal purposes. Anyone opposed? Adopted. 8.5, this is retabling the motion. Public auction for non-payment of municipal taxes. It is proposed by Councillor Edery, seconded by Councillor Farber, and resolved that in compliance with Article 512 of the Cities and Towns Act, the Council for the Town of Hampstead orders the sale by public auction of the immovables specified in the following table for unpaid 2019 to 2021 municipal taxes or property transfer duties, including all legal and notary costs, as well as disbursements incurred with an interest rate applicable of 7%. This sale will occur at a later date as prescribed by law and will be held at the Town of Hampstead's Town Hall at 5569 Queen Mary Road. An announcement in the form of a final notice will be sent to all concerned parties. That in compliance with Article 536 of the Cities and Towns Act, the Council for the Town of Hampstead mandates Mr. Armin Klaus, Treasurer, to bid and purchase in the name of the town any immovable up for sale during the Town of Hampstead's public auction for non-payment of taxes held in accordance with the present resolution. The person mandated by the town is authorized to sign all documents related to the sale. Anyone opposed? Adopted. 9.1, granting of contract for the collection and transport of recyclable materials. Considering that there has been a public call for tenders for a 33-month contract for the collection and transport of recyclable materials. Considering that after analyzing the tenders opened on February 15, 2022, the lowest bidder conforming to the requirements of the public tender is Service Ricova, Inc. Considering that resolution number 2020-107 adopted by the Council in April 2020 authorized granting the 2-year contract to the lowest bidder conforming to the requirements for 2020 and 2021. It is proposed by Councillor Alfasi, seconded by Councillor Goldwax, and resolved that for the entire duration of the contract, collection day will be Wednesday. That the 33-month contract for the period from April 1st, 2022 to December 31st, 2025 be and is hereby approved. The whole is more amply delineated hereunder. The prices will be adjusted as per the CPI at the anniversary dates of the contract. Anyone opposed? Adopted.
Yes.
Yes, it is, okay, do you want to explain why there's a substantial increase? Okay, I'll say. Mr. Sun, correct me if I'm wrong, but with the previous contract, it was an exceptionally low bid. The result of that was very poor service. It came from a bidder that was not in the habit of doing that type of work. Just to give you some clarity, I believe the delta between at the time the lowest bidder who won the contract and the next successful bidder was, I believe, several $100,000 difference, a few $100,000. So what we're paying now is not that, it's not that we're certainly paying an increase, but this is proper market. What we were paying for before was well below market. The price that we're paying now, the contract for the 3 years or the 33 months, is $504,124.44.
Can I just a point of clarity, there is a typo on the French, on 9.1, the English and the French, the expiry date, one is 2024 and one is 2025. Okay, so just to correct that, please.
Okay, 9.2. Approval of an unsatisfactory performance evaluation of Construction Morival Limited. So, just to give some context, Morival Limited was the successful bidder for the tennis rehabilitation program. At a previous council meeting, council decided to terminate the contract. We are putting forth this resolution so that they would not be able to bid on a future tender project for tennis. Whereas the resolution number 2021-343 has been adopted on August 30th, 2021, awarding the contract for the reconstruction of Hampstead Park tennis courts to the lowest bidder, Construction Morival Limited. Whereas despite the default notices and repeated requests sent by the town of Hampstead to Construction Morival Limited, the latter has not remedied its defects and no improvement has been made to its performance. Whereas resolution 2021-414 was adopted by the town council on November 22nd, 2021, to terminate the contract that Construction Morival Limited had with the town of Hampstead for the reconstruction of the tennis courts. Whereas the contract section of public call for tenders HA-05-21 provides in Article 11.02, entitled Evaluation of Performance, that the town may evaluate the performance of the successful bidder at the end or during the realization of the contract and the criteria on which the evaluation can be based. Whereas the unsatisfactory performance evaluation report issued to Construction Morival Limited on January 19, 2022, pursuant to Section 573, Paragraph 2.0.1 of the Cities and Towns Act, whereas Construction Morival Limited had until February 19, 2022 to send in writing any comments on the unsatisfactory performance evaluation report, and that the town of Hampstead has had no response. Whereas the town council must approve the unsatisfactory performance evaluation report in order to refuse any bid from a supplier who has been the subject of an unsatisfactory performance evaluation for a maximum period of 2 years. On motion of Councillor
Schaefer, but I should add that not only we're not going to allow Morival to accept the bid from him, but whether directly or indirectly. In other words, if Morival work tries to come in through a subcontract, we're going to try to avoid that as well.
On motion of Councillor Schaefer, seconded by Councillor
Goldwax.
Goldwax, it was resolved that the town council approves the unsatisfactory performance evaluation report issued to Construction Morival Limited on January 19, 2022, allowing the town of Hampstead to refuse any tender from the supplier during a maximum period of 2 years in accordance with the provisions of the Cities and Towns Act. Anyone opposed? Adopted. 9.3, granting of contract for professional services for the rehabilitation of sewer pipes. Whereas there has been a public call for tender for a 2-year contract for professional services for the rehabilitation of sewer pipes. Whereas after analyzing the offer of services received and the application of the formula to determine the pointing of each bidder, MLC Associates is the conforming bidder with the highest score for its offer of services. On motion of Councillor Alfasi, seconded by Councillor Schaefer, it was resolved that the 2-year contract for professional services for the rehabilitation of sewer pipes be granted to MLC Associates, Inc. for an amount of $74,429.07, taxes included. Anyone opposed? Adopted. 10.1, approval of renewal of group insurance contract for the year 2022 to 2023. Whereas the town of Hampstead confirmed its membership to Regroupement des Municipalités de l'Agglomération de Montréal in order to acquire the services of group insurance for its employees into the contract which was awarded to La Capitale following a public call for tenders. Whereas the contract awarded is for a maximum duration of 5 years beginning on April 1st, 2019. Whereas this is the 4th year of a maximum 5-year contract with the insurer. Whereas Groupe Mallette Actuaire Inc. recommends acceptance of the rates proposed by the insurer La Capitale for the period of April 1st, 2022 to March 31st, 2023. It is proposed by Councillor
Schaefer.
Schaefer, seconded by Councillor Alfasi, and resolved that the conditions for renewal of the group insurance contract proposed by the insurer La Capitale for the period of April 1st, 2022 to March 31st, 2023 for an amount not exceeding $251,260, including taxes, are approved by the Town Council. That the Director General is authorized to sign on behalf of the Town of Hampstead any and all documents required for the above purposes. Anyone opposed? Adopted. 10.2. Approval of the hiring list of white-collar student employees for the Community Services and Recreation Department. Considering that council members reviewed the list of the Community Services and Interim Recreation Director submitted on February 15, 2022 on the hiring of white-collar student employees, it is proposed by Councillor.
Mr. Mayor, before you go to the moving and seconding, I want to just announce that excuse me, one of the individuals on that list is my niece, and I just want to publicly state that as in the past I was never involved in the hiring process nor the interview process, but one of the individuals does have my wife's maiden name, so obviously it is relation to me, but I was not involved in the hiring process nor the return. She is returning for 5 years now for as the assistant director of camp. So,
Thank you, Councillor Goldwax. So it is proposed by Councillor Alfasi, seconded by Councillor Schaefer, and resolved that the Town Council approves the hiring of white-collar student employees as detailed on the list from the Community Services and Recreation Department. The hiring is subject to the usual conditions and in accordance with the provisions of the collective agreements between CUPE Local 429 and the Town of Hampstead. Anyone opposed?
Just a quick comment, Mr. Mayor. Every year I make the same comment, and I do it again this year. The policy shows the best applying employees, returning employees, all of them are returning. But I see only one here from Hampstead, the other three are two from Conseil, one from Montreal. I always encourage the town to first employ and hire our own kids from Hampstead if they are at par or better hosting, if they qualify. And that was the comment that I always made in the past and I continue to make in the future.
Okay, thank you, and I think that's what we do. Yeah. Okay, so second question period.
I'm looking at the two items, one description of why the contract seems so much higher because the other one was so much lower. That's one thing. Then I'm looking at the 9.2 that has to do with the construction Moribaz. That, do we have an answer to, do we always just, we, meaning the Town of Hampstead, take the lowest bid? Like, I'm still,
Okay.
I know we're moving
So-
forward, but
It's a great point. It's not governed by Hampstead. It's governed by the provincial government on how we can go about accepting bids.
okay.
So this goes back to the Charbonneau
Oh,
Commission.
okay.
And all of these procedures came out and made all municipalities, they're all
Yeah.
public bids. They standardized the process.
Okay.
And so there are certain points in time when you receive multiple bids that you don't have to take the lowest bidder.
Okay.
I'm not too familiar with what the exceptions are, but they're very, very few and rare.
Okay.
And it can't just be anybody submit a bid. You have to have you have to be qualified
Yeah.
to bid for this job.
Okay, so these things just happen. We can't say more than that.
Unfortunately, yes.
Unfortunately. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Is there anything else that anybody would like to add to this? No? Okay. That's it for questions. So we will move to adjournment.
before adjournment, for other business, I'd just like to state publicly that what's going on overseas right now obviously is very tragic. As a town, as a person, as an individual, my heart goes out to the loss of life, regardless what side it's on, the loss of life and the troubles they're going through. So ironically, on a side note, one of my friends was griping about the price of gas today. And I said, do you think when they're running to the bomb shelters, they're worrying about the gas went up 10 cents a liter? So I just say my hearts go out to the individuals and the families, and I'm hoping for a peaceful and quick resolution to what's going on in Ukraine. Thank you.
The country's destroyed already.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, So move to adjournment. The agenda having been completed is proposed by Councillor Schaefer, seconded by Councillor Goldwax, and resolved that this council meeting be adjourned at 8:47. Thank you everyone for coming.